conversation with character to reflect on my past to present, aware of character defects.
I'm sorry.
The passion, the power, the purpose of unwoven recovery, unity, service, 1 year token.
The most prestigious network in the land.
This is Character Asked It. You already know, Character Did It. I am here with Tawny Harding. Not to be confused with Tanya Harding, because that's what's been in my head all day long. But tell us about yourself. What do you do?
Right now I'm a content creator and kind of going from like the spicy version of it to actually making short films and trying to do something the opposite end of the spectrum. Because one's like kind of manipulation and asking people for stuff, and the other one's actually helping people with stuff.
Hell yeah.
It's different.
Hell yeah. How old are you?
32.
32? I'm 35. Hey, it's the best decade of our life. I really believe the 30 is the best decade of your life.
Well, maybe for somebody that doesn't have health problems. I'm like a 67-year-old woman.
Yeah, I feel that. I want to get into that too. But where are you from?
I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky, but I live in Rockport, Indiana now.
Okay. So tell me about your childhood. Tell me about growing up.
It wasn't great. We were very poor, and I was kind of like the little lanky, tiny, stinky kid from the house that nobody ever wanted to go to. I don't know. I was picked on a lot.
Yeah.
I had to grow a backbone, and I still don't have it. I kind of go in and out on whether I have it or not. I don't know. I was talking to my dad about it earlier. I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say other than I used to have a little Crayola box and I didn't have friends and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I would take the flies out of the window and I'd take their wings off and put them in the box and make them walks. I turned those poor little bastards into walks, and I feel awful about it.
Kids listening, this is what we did before the age of the internet, okay? Y'all have it good.
Right? It's like when you're like hiding food behind the deep freeze just to get a mouse in there, be like, hey, you gonna put a dress on me or what? It's like, I've seen the movies. Don't you try to play me like you don't know how.
So what'd you do like after high school age?
I had a bunch of babies, dealt with being sick, been in really bad relationships. It's been pretty much pure turmoil for years now. Been homeless in a domestic violence shelter, and I was on government assistance. But now, even though it's tough, I'm paying my bills. I've got like $22.80 in expenses a month, and I'm paying it. And I'm not on any assistance, and you know, I'm getting there. It's a struggle, and I do without a lot, but I keep telling myself like eventually it's not going to be how it always was.
No, absolutely, and congratulations. That's amazing where you're at right now.
Thank you.
Tell me about your conditions, the health issues that you suffer with.
Since a baby, I've been really sick, and I've always had like staph infections and being really sensitive to a lot of stuff. And now I'm MRSA positive, which is something that they wear like biohazard suits to come in the ICU for.
Wow.
Because it's very contagious.
Tell me about that. I don't know anything about that.
It's called MRSA. It's just a bacteria.
Okay.
So I deal with that, and I get sepsis really easily. I've had it several times. I had a stroke from it once.
Wow.
I had a fever of like 105.8 for several days. I was in the ICU for weeks, and I ended up having a stroke from it. So I definitely battle with like just being a normal person, whatever that looks like.
How old were you when you had a stroke?
This was about 6 years ago.
Wow. Doesn't MRSA typically come from like spider bites and things like that?
Well, I have HS, so it is a like constant bacteria infection that's in my hair follicles, and I get like abscesses and stuff, and then it's just like it exacerbates so quick because I have other underlying health issues, so they kind of play hand in hand, and it just gets out of control very quick.
Yeah. So I mean, I was, I went through some of what you suggested, the tough relationships, toxic relationships. I was homeless for a while, and if I were female, I would have been in a domestic abuse shelter for sure. What tell me about those times. Tell me about what you went through, as much as you're comfortable with, and then tell me about how you got through them.
Man, when I look back at what I went through, it was definitely like, it was baseline as a child. Like, the normalcy of what I thought was normal became that way very young. My brother was a very abusive person. He was an awful person. And I mean, he would trap me in an upright freezer for hours and just leave me there. And he would like trap me in like those little plastic totes that we used to have with the blue flappy lids.
Yep.
And they like put the mattress on top of it and wait until I'd pass out. Then he'd get me out, you know, just stuff like that. And as I got older and I didn't really have my mom for 26 years. We're friends now, which is great, but I didn't then. Dad was working constantly. It was just me and him. I had to deal with what I had to deal with. And I became very complacent, which my number one rule now is never get too comfortable. That's with anything. And it's because I became complacent that I allowed people into my life that I thought were acceptable, and they weren't. And I even knew that because I'm always self-aware. That don't make me not stupid. So I stayed in it, and I had a really bad relationship where he would lock me in the basement, and he would leave me there for a few days. He'd throw down something for me to eat in the flooded basement. There was like 1.5 inches, 2 inches of water. And he'd get pissed if I didn't get down there and eat it. And I was just so out of my mind. I was so sick already. I have kidney disease, heart disease, lung disease. Like, my whole body is diseased. And so I'm just like, well, I'm going out soon anyway, so might as well. Until one day he got a hold of me in front of my boys, and I had to stop them from trying to fight him. And it was in that moment, I'm like, man, like, they are going to become normal in this. This is what's going to be their life. And I left. I packed everything up. I called their dads and told them what was going on, even though it made me look bad. And I haven't had much time with them now because I had to make that choice. But I got out. I slept in my car for like 3 months, getting run out from Walmart and restaurants and parks, and until I decided to check into a domestic violence shelter. And it was the worst place I'd ever been. Like, it's not what you think. It's
Why?
sad.
Why was it so bad?
There was a mom in there that would beat the holy hell out of her autistic son. And cops would come over there and she would sweet talk him. And the autistic boy wouldn't talk to anybody else because she had like kind of trained him to not. Like, he just knew. She played off the fact that he was mentally handicapped. And I remember sitting up in the window one night because her room was across like this little courtyard and you could see in the window. Oh my gosh, she was just beating the crap out of him. And I couldn't do anything. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Get myself in trouble in this situation?
Right.
And he was screaming and crying and screaming and crying. The cops came there, they walked in, and she was like, well, he's just pulling his crap again. And they're just like, okay.
Wow.
And left.
Wow.
And because he cried while they were there, she beat him some more. You know, people trying to offer you meth in there, trying to offer you every drug. You see people passed out in bed, and you're like, man, this is supposed to be a safe space, and it's not for anybody. Coming in, going out, like, the people that are coming in aren't going out the same, and it's definitely not positive.
How long were you in there?
Rough. I was in there for about 2 months.
Yeah.
I had to check in every night at a certain time, which meant I had to kiss my babies goodnight and then, you know, go over there and deal with that. That was almost enough to break me.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
How long ago
There
was
was
that?
a lot of sacrifice. Year and a half.
Year and a half ago. And man, I mean, it sounds like you've come a long way since then.
Those situations that cause that type of pain is something that not everybody experiences, thankfully. Or maybe not, I don't know. Because it's made me a hell of a woman. And I was never proud of me. I never thought I had a reason to be. until I'm like, I'm doing the damn thing, you know? I have zero confidence. Nobody believes in what I'm doing. I have to stand in front of judges and be like, yeah, I sell pics and videos online. And they're like, yeah, I'm cool with that. And I'm looking over at the ex-husband like, you thought you're going to use that, huh? Getting that back, being proud of that shit, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it's a new day. It's a new day. And that I'm happy to see the public perception of that kind of work being changed. It's, first of all, there's a great living to be made off of it. And second of all, I mean, it's you. It's something you're proud of. You are a beautiful woman. You and if you can and profit off of that, everything you've been through, if this can be your profit area, then why not? There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it, no. But is it me? No. Is it something that I had to do because it's like I can't work a 9 to 5? Like I'm considered medically frail, like I'm a liability. And so I had to make something from nothing, like I do. And I had to find something that even if I didn't think I was good at, other people did. Kind of speak that into existence. I constantly sit here and I'll be doing pictures and videos and I'm just like, I just really don't want to do it because it makes me feel weird.
No, absolutely.
Sex has always been like something I'm not comfortable with in the first place, you know, considering my childhood and history.
Yeah.
So it's definitely taboo for me. But I'm learning that there's a lot of girls that are like me that do it differently. And they care. And they do it because they have a 3-month-old baby and the dad's gone. Or, you know, there's a guy who has the mom that ran out and he's by himself. Like, you know, we all have our struggles and it's like we can sit there and just be like, oh, here, government, do whatever for me. Or we can make our own path. Those types of things are supposed to be stepping stones.
Yeah.
And people forget that. We got to work. If you don't work, you're not going to make it.
Yes, absolutely.
You might short term, long term, you won't.
So, I mean, really what you told me when we were chatting earlier, you know, you said you have the ugly duckling syndrome, and then you had those experiences in your relationships, which really beat down your self-esteem. You know, when I was in my abusive, toxic relationship, when I came out of it and during it, my most common thought was, I hate myself. Anything I do is terrible. I hate myself. I hate myself. I made songs about, I hate myself. I hate myself. You know, it's just, it was like haunted. But for someone like you who had gone through the same things and probably had the same thoughts and you know, your self-esteem is definitely something you build every day from everything you've been through. This has to be, like you were saying, a catch-22, making this your living and doing what you're doing, because yes, it's not you, it's not what you want to be doing, but damn, you can do it. That's crazy. That has to be crazy to you sometimes. The fact that
it is. I
you
look
are
at
that
pictures
person.
and I'm like, man, look at that girl. She looks so confident and like she's doing it. And then I will sit there for a second, just kind of beside myself, like, but what? How can I not even want to go to the gas station? How can I not want to have a real conversation? And it's that mask, I guess. It's like, yeah, I might on the outside look like I do in all of those, but my heart isn't what people think it is. They think because I do content that I'm going to meet up with them. They think that I do content, so I just enjoy being a loose-lipped lady. You know, they just see things that aren't me. I struggle financially because I can't get myself to have these conversations. I can't get myself to, even for a moment, be something that I'm not, because I did that for so long and I'm tired of it. Yeah. And then this is all that is. That's why I've been branching out into short films and, you know, taking my pain and putting it somewhere outside of me in a way that might be able to drain it from other people.
That's amazing. And I do want to get into what you're trying to do now, because you're trying to get away from that kind of content. You're trying to get into, I think on your IG page, it says regular content or something like that. So tell me about your plan. Like what kind of approach and content are you going for?
Well, I made a couple things to start out with, and I've got janky Wi-Fi in the middle of Nowheresville, Indiana, so that's already a problem. And then I've got like 16 phones, and like one of them works when it wants to. Like we've got them scheduled on their own time slots on which one we're going to grab when the time's right. It's like I got boobs on this phone, and then I've got my butt on this phone, and then we're talking on this phone. I've got 2 more phones, a laptop, and I'm supposed to keep my shit together? Come on now. Come on. People are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I just have a hard time keeping up with the content. It's just too many people. It's too many people. They expect so much. And I do things differently, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to have like high quality content. Like if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do it like all the way to the absolute best of my ability. If I'm working on a car, that car is going to be the best running car that you've ever had. Back don't hurt. If I'm, building a house, it's going to be the best house I've ever seen. Like, that's just who I am. Like, do I have moments of saying, I can't do this, I'm going to give up, I can't. But I think I have to have that to be like, what the hell, girl, you being dumb. You got this.
Yep.
It's like I have to tell people, like, I give up, I can't do it anymore. And they're always like, why are you doing that? It's like, because I need to sometimes.
Yeah.
And I care about people. And that's hard because people start getting feelings. And who am I to do that to somebody? For my own personal gain, even if it is for my family, that's taking from somebody else's, and you're using their emotions to be like, hey, I need something from you. And it's like, oh, I'll throw you a pair of boobs, but I need your paycheck. It don't feel good, man. It don't feel good.
So what content are you making now? Like, what are you trying to do?
Well, I've been doing a short film that I've been pounding my head into the wall over for a minute. I put really high expectations on myself when I got the meta performance bonus thing. And I'm like, ooh, this is my shot. And I'm like, I'm going to get 6,000 followers in 2 weeks, and I'm going to have 15 movies. You watch it. And I'll tell you this, I made some magic in a week, but it took about 3 more of breaking down to absolutely nothing out here by myself, no car, where you're just stuck in it. You have to deal with it. And I've spent my whole life not dealing with it, thinking I was dealing with it. And I've been able to put my emotions into these videos. Like I made one that's about a son and his mother, and she's sick. And like, that's his best friend. And he knows that she's sick. And the only thing that's going to help is an experimental surgery that ends up not working. He goes to the war because he wants to make the money for her so she can get it. And he comes home to her funeral. And it just kind of teaches you about time. Being in the present, in the now, is what's important. You think that you're doing the right thing on the surface, but they missed out on that time together that they could have had by wasting it trying to do other things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of important to me because I think about the boys. Like, what if I can't make it right before I'm gone? Because it could be any day. Like, I'm pretty sick. And who's going to tell my story? Who's going to tell my story if I can't?
That's what we're here for.
And so I'm putting it into something to where that story is going to be left for them regardless.
No, I love that. I love that. And are you scripting these?
I thought about it. I don't know what to do. I'm like kind of on the one that I'm doing now. It's like 32 minutes long for the short film.
Wow, that's an undertaking.
It sure is. Especially when it's a silent film right now. And it's got like 15 people. It's kind of like the movie Crash when you think about it, just how they're connected.
Okay.
Like it's a trickle effect. And it's about addiction. And addiction with sex, addiction with money addiction with drugs, addiction with alcohol. It shows all of it and what it does to you, your family, everyone around you. All these people are connected in a way just off a choice. And then when the dust settles and that addiction's not there anymore and they're left to deal with their feelings, they're like, damn, what have I been doing? That's me. My addiction has been chaos. And I see a lot of people struggle with that. People get so bored. It's like, why are you bored? Like, go whittle or something. Like, what happened to like finding something to do with your time instead of just bitching about being bored?
Yeah.
See that all the time.
Also, I think, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go.
I think people that get addicted to the devil they know a lot of times. As far as you're saying, they're addicted to this chaos and everything, but they're so comfortable with what they're used to that they're afraid to branch out.
Yeah, I feel like we get haunted by the ghost of us.
Yeah.
More times than not. It's like we're trying to figure out who we were, who we are now, who we can be. And there's like all of these versions of you floating around and they're all trying to get in. It's like the sperm and the egg. Like, oh, which one's going to make it? Come on, guys. Hey, Larry. It's like that. And you got to decide, like, which version of you do you want to be? It doesn't matter what's happened to you. That doesn't mean that's who you are. It doesn't matter where you've been, what you did have, didn't have. What happens to you now is all based off of choice. Everything is choice. And there are major consequences for the wrong ones. And man, let me tell you, I've been feeling it.
Damn right. What made you choose short films?
I don't know. I've always had an interest in being creative. I've always liked building stuff, and I'd take like little generators out of things. My parents would get so mad, and then I'd like put them on my Hot Wheels and make them pull cars. They'd just zoom all over the place, and I was always like tearing everything apart and then building something else. And then I've always been artsy, and I like to color, and I like to paint, and I like to listen to artists that no one's ever heard of before because I like the underdog. And I'm like, hey, you got something good there, man.
Hell yeah.
And with the short film thing, I've always liked watching movies. What else am I gonna do in my nice striped sweater and my cat named Ricky? Yeah, we gonna watch a film, you know what I'm saying? And I like the intricacy of it. I like every tiny moving part means something.
Yeah.
Like the way it fades in and out, and how each section overlays and tells the story when you need it to be told.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my life. It's like I'm constructing my own short film within a short film because I'm watching myself in all these moving parts becoming something awesome. I'm becoming something awesome. And it's the same thing with making a movie, is that you're starting with absolutely nothing but an idea, hope, a dream.
Yep.
And you're turning it into a reality, something that people can sit back and feel something from. It's not just, hey, I'm gonna flash my boobs. It's like, hey, like this person's got some shit going on. We need to talk about that. And then they're sitting there thinking, well, man, that's happened to me. Or man, that's how quick it can change. And I don't want my struggle and everything I've gone through to be for nothing.
Yeah.
I have to make it for something. I'm not gonna go out like that. I can't.
Sure. No, I have a huge respect for that, for real. I mean, you're trying to keep people from going through what you're doing through your art.
I have a hard time emotionally when I see people hurting.
Yeah.
And so I probably give too much of myself with content, because I like to say that, you can find nudes online for free every day. You can just type in the word boobs and there you go. You got some orangutan titties maybe, but at least you're going for the right thing and they're providing something.
Sure.
I sell an experience. Like you've had a bad day. I care about that. Talk to me. Like you're feeling suicidal, call me 3 a.m. I'm gonna be there. Like you are having trouble in your relationship. I'm not there to tear it apart. And I tell these women when they message me like, hey, has this person bought from you? I'm like, yeah, but if it helps, I'm not trying to put a wrench in that. I'm just taking care of my family.
Sure.
And, you know, with them, I want to help them get back into the relationship. Like, there's a reason why you're coming to me asking for what you're asking for. And everybody thinks it's all about sex, but it's not. We're just fucking lonely. We just want somebody to give us that attention and say, hey, you're good enough for me. And that's an instant gratification. And in this world, everything has to be instant gratification.
Yep.
I don't allow them to have that most of the time. I make them work for it a little bit. Like, you gotta message me 15 times in a row, and I want to see that you actually have interest, because if you do, you'll listen.
Yeah.
And my foot's already in the door by having those 15 messages. I'd be like, hey, what's really going on? Like, you just lonely? You want to talk to somebody? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, man, I would wait for that for a while. Like, I'm so glad that you're willing to talk to me. Like, I can't believe you're writing me back and you're so cool.
Wow.
And I'm like, what?
Just a little bit of effort.
I'm just a nobody trying to be there for somebody.
Yeah.
That's important to me because I never had that.
It's amazing of you. Honestly, everything you do, you're doing to help somebody.
Yeah, I just gotta learn how to find a happy medium, because it's like I either feel nothing at all or I feel everything at once. I'm either all in the content or I'm laying around wallowing in self-pity and, you know, pretending to be a slug in the dining room floor. I don't know. It gets weird around by yourself. Okay.
That I want to see videos of. That I want pictures of.
Seriously, I've done it one time, but, you know, there were cow excrement related items involved in certain situations. So I don't know why I did that. Like, I remember being out there, I was like, man, this is weird, Tawny. Like, this is a new low for you. Nobody was wanting to watch except for the cat, and she didn't seem to mind too much. She thought it was cool. She just slip sliding around like, hey.
Okay. So what are the biggest accomplishments that you consider that you have in your whole life?
Staying alive.
Yeah.
Staying alive. You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a chicken man. Bop, 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 bop. Or something like that.
Something like that.
Like, seriously, just being able to stay breathing has been the biggest struggle ever, because if it wasn't my health, it was somebody trying to take my ass out.
Yeah.
Like, getting choked out and wake up to somebody sleeping with you, and like you end up having a heart attack, taking care of 11 people on a broken foot, and you know, like, it's a lot. I've had 41 surgeries since 2017.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
2 heart attacks, 1 stroke.
Wow.
ICU multi-organ failure, blood clot to my lung. Oxygen for a year, ended up being 230 pounds, and then ended up losing the weight. You know, being homeless did help that, you know.
that tends to do that to you, yeah.
Kind of worked out for once, you know.
The homeless diet, like.
Yeah. Stress, angst, you know. Call Jenny Angst. She'll hook you up.
Now, typically my next question is, I think, probably going to have the same answer as that question. It's what have been your biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome?
Honestly, loving my children in a way that I've never understood. It's kind of like I crave things that I've never had, that I don't even know what it is, but I just feel it. And I feel like I haven't been able to love them in the ways that they've deserved, though I've tried to the extent of my capabilities. Like, I think I've loved them as much as I could at the time. And that doesn't mean that I didn't love them. I just did as much as I could, and that wasn't enough. And I take accountability for that, and I'm accepting of that, that even though I am sick, I can't just roll over and die. Like, they didn't ask to be here in the first place. So being able to get back to a point or create a new point that they can be a part of successfully is what I want.
What is the dream?
Peace.
Peace.
Just some damn peace.
What is peace
Like,
to you?
I think about it all the time, just seeing my boys, just being able to sit down and say, hey, kid, what's going on? You know, play guitar with my kiddo and play anything. I don't know, like looking around and seeing unslept in beds and unplayed with toys. And I want one of them to launch a Tonka truck at my head. I want to smell baby food. You know?
Yeah.
But I know I'm not going to get that. And unfortunately, I do have to miss out on a lot of the special younger moments because I know that when they're men, they're going to need me.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have me when they were young, and they're going to be curious and they're going to want to know what's going on. They're going to be mad at me and be like, hey, why?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to make sure I stay breathing so I can tell them why. And then we can sit around and I can cook a whole bunch of food that everybody likes and everybody's laughing and smiling and just good.
Yeah.
I just want something good.
Now, I know you said you didn't have a relationship with your mom until you were 26, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you kind of see that in the way that you see it? And you said that you guys are friends now. I know that I'm sure there's a lot more to that situation, a lot more feelings than what you're talking about. But does that kind of give you reassurance that your boys will be ready for you when they're older?
Yeah, because for many years I was fighting for the wrong things. I was fighting for the right now. I need this right now. And it's so important that I be a part of this right now. But me and my mom, like, hell, we're best friends now. Like, we talk about crazy stuff and, you know, we're there for each other, and she's been suicidal and I was there for her and I've been that way and she was there for me and she's taken accountability. And I'm like, sorry, I was a little shit, you know, and that was big.
Yeah.
And I was able to understand that growing up, I never thought I would. I always thought I'd just hate her. She took off. But now I see, like, she was me. And I am her. And she needed that time. She needed that time and she missed out. And I missed out. But man, we got something good now. That's special.
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear. Honestly, not to go too deep into my situation, but my ex, my daughter and I got away from her 4 years ago. My daughter doesn't care anything about her, but I'm keeping all of the pictures. I'm keeping everything because I know, you know, she's 18 right now. At some point when she gets older, she's gonna be curious about things. You know, it's good to hear that you all can come around to that point.
Yeah, and I keep stuff like that too. I definitely get it. Like, I have notebooks of me and my oldest son's dad, like when I was pregnant with him, because he's 14 now. He just turned 14. Man, I'm old.
Yeah,
It's happening.
my daughter's 18, okay?
It hurts so bad. But I've kept these things, like little poems and stuff that his dad would write me. His dad's very cold now. He doesn't really care about much. He's lost his passion and stuff. And, you know, I want to remind my kiddo that, you know, this is who he was before he let the world break him.
Yeah.
This is who I was before I let it break me, but I got out of it.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to show them a type of fight that the other side doesn't always know, because they have money, they have this, they have that, you know, I'm beneath them. And it's like, yeah, well, I didn't have the same hand in cards that you did either. So I want to be able to get both sides of that. And I don't even know where I was going. I don't.
No,
See?
that's totally fair. It
Sometimes
makes total
I
sense.
just broke out.
I think that was the end of the thought anyway. It was solid.
Okay, all right, let's just say that then. Solid.
Do you have anything coming up? Like, what are the biggest projects you're working on right now?
Well, I'm trying to get this short film situation figured out. Like you said, the thing about the lines, the script, and all that. I've wanted people to find people that have gone through the addiction, who have either been like a family member involved in it, or like something happened, like a drunk driver, you know. These people that can read these lines that I give to them and have that feeling, because that's going to be genuine. They're not acting. They might be the first few times they're saying it, getting used to it, until they're like really hearing what they're saying. They're like, man. And in those moments, they're going to be healing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a beautiful fucking story.
I'll be your first volunteer.
I just need those people. Really?
Oh yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Heck yeah, that would be awesome. Like, I've got piano and some deep cello going.
Oh.
And, you know, I'm trying to compose everything, taking like bits and pieces of sounds, and
no, hell yeah.
Awesome.
I would love to be part of that. And hey, look, I've been in video for 15 years. I've been doing music for a little over a year. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. That sounds like an awesome project.
I think that would be awesome. And if we can try to round up some fellow peeps.
Yeah, I got them too. I'll connect you to everybody you need to know.
I just think that would be awesome. Yeah. I think that would be something incredible. And I've had like recovery pages reach out to me and stuff and say, hey, this is awesome. We'd like to showcase this at one of our events. And like, we want to show this to our community. And so like, pressure's on, man. Like, it's a minute. And I'm sitting there listening to piano and birds, and there's somebody yelling over here, and I'm like, I can't do anymore. So I've had a little bit of writer's block.
Sure. No, hey, let's talk more about it tomorrow. I'd like to do something with that for real.
Sounds good.
But before we end this interview, do you have a life lesson that you want to share with anybody watching? And I'm sure you do.
Well, the life lesson is what I said earlier. Never get too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because, man, rock bottom has a basement. You can't stay there. You just can't. Like, no vacancy. Get out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tawny. I appreciate you. This has been an awesome, powerful episode of Characterized It. Follow Tawny up. Hit her up. I'll see y'all next time. Peace up.
The most prestigious network in the land, the Signature Series Network.